Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we have a Warhammer 40,000 Black Library review, and today we're going to be checking out The Emperor's Gift by Dembski-Bowden. Now, this one is narrated by Christopher Kent, who did a fantastic job in bringing the characters of this vaunted story from Black Library to life. What's really cool is this and a bunch of other old Dembski-Bowden classics have come out from Audible and as audio releases in general, and I've been listening to a bunch of them. Some of my other favourites like Hell's Reach, the Night Lords Omnibus, and all of that are now in the pipeline to get reviewed again and have a brand new listen with a new pair of ears, or indeed a first pair of ears on them, as I read these many moons ago when I was very young. So with that said, we are going to get cracking in onto this and talk a little bit about this story and give you our thoughts and some of the cool bits we really enjoyed about it. And so the story, the Grey Knights are all that stands between humanity and the ravages of chaos. Since their secretive beginnings during the Horus Heresy, these legendary Space Marine demon hunters have journeyed into the dark realms of the Warp and beyond in pursuit of the supernatural enemies. Through an intensive regime of psychic training, new recruits are brought into the clandestine Fortress of Titan to join the hallowed and vaunted ranks of the 666th chapter. Today's video is brought to you by Gap Games, a fantastic retailer in Australia for a variety of different miniature war games. If you'd like to help support the channel, we have an affiliate link where by clicking on and purchasing, you'll help support the channel, but you'll also help support Gap Games, which is a fantastic servant to the community. And so the story's purpose, moving on. Now, I should say, this story, like I said, is an oldie. This was originally released in 2012, so that is over 10 years old now for a Black Library publication. And this was really, at the time, if not the first, one of the very first looks into the Grey Knights. At that point in time, we only had, very limited stuff on their codices that had come out over the years, but this was one of the very early sort of looks into them and into their lore very strongly, especially from a Black Library publication standpoint. And such, this book really is here to show us and introduce us to the Grey Knights, show us how the chapter works, or what their sort of warriors are like, what their life is like in that chapter. But also this does focus over one of the largest engagements of the Grey Knights history, and that is the First War for Armageddon. Not any of the ones involving Ghazghkull Mad Uruk Thraka, the Orc war boss, the first war with Angron and the demons he brought to the world. And so our main character is a Space Marine by the name of Hyperion, and he's not the first to have held his name, but he does have a great legacy of his name being used throughout the chapter. Something we do learn about the Grey Knights is they reuse these same names of heroes over and over again. You get a new name, like many Space Marine chapters when you join, though, and the Grey Knights, this is a lot more traditionalistic than many of the others. It's not sort of a new name taken, it is very much, a name handed down throughout the years. And so Hyperion is a member of a squad. He's a new recruit, and in fact the newest of the recruits to the particular squad he is a part of. He wields one of the Grey Knights demon staves, which is really cool. And generally you'll see him fighting in his standard sort of Grey Knight's power armor rather than the Terminator plate, though he does own a suit of that as well. Hyperion is brash, a little bit I guess glory hungry, potentially you could look at it in some ways, and eager to sort of prove himself. He also has incredible psychic potential, even for a basic Grey Knight. His psychic potential is stronger than any of the more experienced brothers within his squad. And over the course of the story, what does change about Hyperion? Obviously, he matures a lot over the story. We are getting to see, a very early rendition of a Grey Knight. They, unlike many other Space Marine chapters, do not have a 10th company. They do not have scouts within their chapter. Instead, they are new members sort of actively engaged and bonded to their new squad. So what might be a scout in another chapter with, levels of battle experience is actually still a fully fledged brother within the Grey Knights, albeit going through a little bit of a different path. Like I said though, he does mature over the course of the story, definitely coming to grips with what it is to be a Great Knight and what the bonds of brotherhood mean to a chapter of Space Marines where they are more than just, fraternal bonds of brotherhood. They are psychically and soul-linked bonds of brotherhood as well. So what does this story do well though, besides obviously showing us a great look into the Grey Knights, which I think it does an exceptional job of doing. There isn't a wasted word in this story. I think this is so fantastically written. I think this is right up there with one of, and if not, Aaron Dembski-Bowden's best ever Black Library story to date. And that is saying something because I really like the First Heretic and Hell's Reach as stories. Night Lord's Honor was great as well. But for me, I think this is maybe his best ever story he's written for Black Library. Everything in the story has meaning. There isn't a wasted word in here. There isn't sort of little offshoot passages, or there might be at first, and they might seem these little offshoot stories or these little offshoot sort of offhand comments and stuff like that at first, but everything has a meaning and has a purpose to the story. Every character introduced has a part to play, whether big or small. There's no sort of loose ends at the end of this, which I think is really nice. Like, this is a story complete in its whole. It doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't leave any doors open for other parts, which you certainly could have more stories about Hyperion in the future, but I think this does a really nice job of what a lot of things do struggle in current feeling, where they sort of leave these open ends. I think at the end of the story is completed, which I think is a really solid thing to do in a singular book. And so, who would like this book? I mean, if you are a fan of someone like Aaron Dembski-Bowden, I think you're going to enjoy this story regardless. If you've read things like Thirst Heretic, Hell's Reach, Night Lord's Omnibus, you'll know he has a very particular way of sort of bringing his characters in. He writes and sort of has these unique sort of characters that are very flawed in their nature, but ultimately you root for them. That's what this story is all about. So if you like his books, I think you'll enjoy this. But definitely, if you are a Grey Knights fan, then this, I think, is must-read literature for anyone who plays Grey Knights. This gives such a fantastic look into the chapter. And so, in summary, and this may be the nostalgia in me, I mean, 11 years ago, I was barely not a teenager when I picked this up and read this for the first time. Going back to this was such an enjoyable journey for me. And I hope if you haven't listened or read this, I hope you do go grab it, and I hope you enjoy the story for the first time. Or indeed, if you're like me, now that it's on an audiobook, it's a bit more listenable. It's a bit easier to pick up audiobooks as an adult than it is a regular book. I don't get much time to read, so I listen to while I do other hobby and stuff. But I think this is one of the best by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, or by, Aaron Dembski-Bowden, who, for me, is one of Black Library's best authors. I enjoy pretty much everything he puts together. For me, my personal favourite Black Library author, though strongly being challenged by some of the newer authors, I think. But, I have so many fond memories of these stories, and indeed many of his stories, and many of this era of Warhammer 40k stories coming out from when I was a teenager, sort of reading and really sort of getting into Warhammer properly for that first time. For me, A+. I think this was massively enjoyable to relive. If you've listened to this, whether before or gone and listened to it now, it's an audio format, read it in the distant past, let us know your thoughts about it down in the comments below. And that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and also drop a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description are the best ways to help support the channel. You can use one of our affiliate links to Gap Games or Element Games if you're in Australia or the United Kingdom, or you can subscribe to our YouTube members or Patreon, or grab some merch from our merch stores on Teespring or Ko-fi. All the best ways to help support the channel. As a special thanks to all our Patreon and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patrons: Broken Chef, Andy C, Grimskull, Colorblind Magic, Benjamin Swallows, James Cater, Mark Harvey, Domir, Average Wargamer, JJ Austrian, Cure Dynamic, Andrew Bowen, Outer and Shot First, Kenny Lowell and Soren, and to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, the Johnny84, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, James Tillman, Disco, John Castle, and Gargamel196. Thank you all once again for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.